first event, John?
Well, actually, the first race that we ever produced, was at the Meadowvale, Aaron Meadows Community Center. The swim was a pool swim. And then we did circuits around the streets of Mississauga, and then the run was circuits around the building itself. It was primarily, there was a lot of kids there. I mean, certainly, I guess because it was a pool swim, but we did have a lot of, or we had some adult athletes as well. And the reality is we didn't know what the hell we were doing. And I don't think we, for a lot of the season, the first season, we had 6 races. It was learn by experience, just experiencing those things. The very first duathlon we had, which was the following week, or a couple of weeks later, was in Orangeville. And this is May, and the crew was myself, Mike Buck, 2 of my kids, and I think there was 2 other people to set this thing up. And the morning of the race, we're all excited. We had slept in a trailer the night before that didn't have heat. It was 3 degrees that night. We got up in the morning, there's snow on the ground. You remember, Janice? And I'm behind the truck, the budget truck with all the traffic cones, laying them in the snow. So it was an interesting first year.
Wow. But look at what you've done. You have this amazing series. Now, we get Americans who come up here and race, and the comment that we get from the visitors, because this is the real arbitrator of this, the visitors go, wow, that's one of the best races I've ever been to. So hats off to you, John. You just do a fantastic job.
Yeah, the reality is it's nice to have some ideas and maybe provide a little bit of leadership, but I mean, Jason's been with me since the 2nd year. Without Jason, we wouldn't have the courses that we have, we wouldn't have the safety measures that we have in place. That's the starting point of everything, and then you build a team from there. I mean, if any of you have called the office and you've ever spoken to Janet Thomas, she solves a problem, she deals with it. Sharon's, I mean, there's so many people. There's 4 or 5 of us year-round, and I wouldn't even include me anymore in the year-round. They pretty much carry the ship along. And in the summer, we're upwards of about 20 to 25 students. So I'm happy about the fact that we created something, and I'm happy that we can provide a livelihood to some young people in the summers. And I'm really happy that we can provide you with the opportunity to race. There's a lot of times I get people come up to me and say, oh, thank you, you changed my life. My response to that is I didn't change anybody's life. All we did was we provided you with the opportunity, a venue, for you to do what you really enjoy. So we don't take ourselves too seriously as far as what we've done.
Good stuff. Let's talk a bit about next year. There's 2 exciting changes coming up that I know you want to share us the information on. Welland, there's going to be some changes with the race at Welland. Tell us what's going to go on.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what's going to go on in a second, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because people are asking why we're making this change, because I think some people are a little concerned that we're taking away the half iron distance for Welland. The reality is, anybody who, well, you heard Cody talking about that Ironman brand, and there's no animosity. The fact is they're there. There's Ironman races and there's 70.3 races. Athletes love that brand. For whatever reason, they love that brand. So good for them. I mean, I participated in 8 Ironman distance races myself over the years. They have a quality product. My own personal feeling on this is I wish more athletes would take a look at the producers of the race before they enter a race. I can tell you from the response at Barrelman last year that many athletes, both by email and in forums and a post-race survey, said this is far better than any 70.3 race. But anyway, having said that, the reality is we can't compete. Welland 2 years ago had over 500 people registered in the half iron, and last year we were at 380. And the reason is Muskoka 70.3, Mount Tremblant 70.3. That's the reality of our world. So what we thought was, let's make this an opportunity for athletes. So we've taken, and if you go back, if you raced in the 80s and the 90s, you'll remember that the premier race in Ontario was Muskoka, when it was a 2K swim, 55K bike, 15K run. Everybody went to that race. World championships were held up there. I mean, it was probably, I think personally from racing, it was maybe one of the best races in Canada. Phenomenal. Graham Fraser and his team produced that. now the dynamic of triathlon has changed, and more people are doing the longer stuff. Thank goodness you're all doing the shorter stuff. Thank you very much for coming out. So we thought, let's make this an opportunity. We hope that people will come out to Welland now and do the Rose City long course race and use it. If they're going to be doing a 70.3 or an Ironman later on in the year, there's an opportunity for you to use that as a training day. And if you listen to what Cody was just talking about in terms of racing at that, pushing the envelope as much as you can, those athletes who want to aspire to a longer distance, maybe not necessarily 70.3, there's a distance that you can race hard at. It's going to hurt like hell, but it is a distance that you can race hard at, and you can use as a tune-up.
Just to confirm the distances, what's it going to be?
2K. Now, do we change? Yeah, 56. Yeah, 56 and 15. So basically, the course as it is right now will be the 2K swim. I'll tell you about the venue in 1 second. If you're looking at it.
Well, we're looking at it, so that's...
Yeah.
So this is the new Flatwater Center, folks. If you've not been to this, this is almost custom built for at least the start of this race and also the finish of the Welland, and it will also be the start and then the finish of course, the Barrelman is in Niagara Falls. Yeah,
so we use this facility this year for the first time at Barrelman. This is, if any of you have ever raced in Lake Placid, one of the best things about that race, and my 2 best races ever were in Lake Placid, is getting on the guy wire for the swim. You're not going anywhere, you're not going off course. Well, this is a rowing facility, it's an international rowing facility, and there's guy wires right down that course. So this year, that was one of the things we heard from the people who raced Barrelman is, this is phenomenal, I didn't have to look up the whole race, I just looked at the guy wire, got to the buoy, and made my turns. So, it's a phenomenal venue. One of the beautiful things about this venue as well, even with the old arena venue, it was the same, and that is that the canal doesn't get impacted by negative weather. So even if it's windy, you're not going to get that chopped. The likelihood of us having to cancel the swim is very small. You can see some of those pictures in the top left, the left-hand side. That's the just before the start of the Barrelman this year. One of those shots, the bike shot, is if you look behind the cyclist, you can see the Flatwater Center in the background. So to get to the bike course, there's a bike path that you take across to get to the other side and then do the bike. And the bike is basically the first 56K of the Barrelman race. It's there, so it makes a whole lot of sense. Barrelman basically, you do a loop in the southwest, come back underneath the Welland Canal, and then into Niagara Falls for the last 35K. So, and then of course the run will be on the fitness trails that we've always used for the half.
Looks awesome. How many people have not been to this to race there? Okay, they'll have to go next year and check it on out.
Mr. Beals has also informed me that, well, he's hoping anyway, we're not going to put, hopefully Cody and potentially Lionel are facing off this year. I've spoken to both of them at Barrelman, September the 18th, so we're hoping that happens because we watched the race head-to-head so many times over a 2-year period. It was always exciting. So we're hoping we might see them at the Flatwater Center on September 18th.
World-class talent at a world-class facility. Thank you, John, for your time. Appreciate it.